Welcome to the Superhero Sidekick Leadership Coaching Podcast with Joel Smith and Joe Baker. We're here to help you develop your superpowers. This is the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm Joel Smith.
I'm Joe Baker. We're not here to be the superhero. We just want to be your sidekick and help you along in building your business, building your not-for-profit. Let's help you grow it fast and really scale.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook and visit us at superherosidekick.com. This is the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm Joel Smith, and Joe Baker is off climbing a mountain with his son, which is pretty awesome. Go out to samadventure.com if you want to learn more about that. He would love to hear from you as well. So my friend Greg Gilbaugh is sitting in for Joe Baker. Greg, how you doing today?
I'm having a great day. Glad to be here.
And that is Dr. Greg Gilbaugh. He is he's a master dentist, and he's a speaker, he's a preacher, he's an author now, and he's got all kinds of things going on. But we have in the studio here for the second time. She was with us a little while back too, Carrie Copley, and Carrie she's a life coach, and she's a speaker, trainer, and I guess success coach is the term that she's fallen on there. But she's also the author of a great book called Finding Joy. Living an A+ life in a C- world. And we actually talked about that book quite a bit in the first episode. So if you haven't listened to the first episode with Carrie, go back and listen to that. It's terrific. She has some great insights on joy and some great personal experiences on how she kind of came into an awareness about joy. So check that out. So Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. Excellent.
Thanks for being on the program. I appreciate that. So the three of us on this training. Sorry, we'll edit all this out, my blunders. But so the three of us are coaches, and Carrie, you're a little bit different coach. Greg and I focus on business and faith and work with churches and businesses a little bit, and I know you do as well. So, but you really are focusing on kind of the joy. You focus on individuals, I believe, most, right?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. So, there's on our podcast, there's a theme that keeps coming up, and that is, why do we need a coach? And it's a valid question, because sometimes people think, well, I've got good friends, so I don't need a coach. Or, maybe experience. If I just experience a little bit more, that'll get me on track. Or maybe if I just think hard enough and work through things or read enough books, that'll be good enough. But we want to talk about today, what does a coach do for a person, and who needs a coach? So, Carrie, what's your thoughts on that? How would you define a coach?
Great question. So I think how I would maybe define a coach, it's somebody that can help you go from good to great. It's somebody that can help you see blind spots that you can't see, hold you accountable to what your big goals and dreams are. I would say those are probably some of the biggest reasons why you would want to have a coach.
Those are great. So you said going from good to great. And of course, there's a great book called Good to Great.
Yep.
And then you mentioned blind spots and then accountability. Now, the cool thing about those three words that I think we can all say is that you can't do those on your own. How do you find your own blind spot when you can't see it, but other people can?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So tell us a little bit more about maybe going from good to great. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, as I talked in my previously within a different podcast about how to live an A+ life in a C- world, is so many of us struggle with just living life good, because good is easy. Good gets us going. And when you take the next level up, when you decide to get out of your comfort zone and go to great, oftentimes I think you need help, because great means stepping up. Great means maybe doing more what you're called to be doing, but it's scary. I mean, how many times have people have said, I feel like I think I should write a book, or I think I should lose weight, or I think I should become an entrepreneur, but then they let all these buts and excuses and fears hold them back. And I'm just telling you, if I can do all these things, I know other people can, but it took somebody who believed in my dream through coaching to help me create all this. It took somebody calling me out on my life excuses, and I had all kinds of good excuses, to let myself stay comfortable.
Yeah, that's where the accountability comes in then, right?
Yeah.
We do need somebody to put their arms around us and help us feel better about ourselves. But we also need somebody that's got a nice boot that they can give us a little kick in the butt and kick us into gear sometimes as well.
Yeah. And that's why family, friends, they can't do the job like a coach can do the job. You know, we have a really hard time holding loved ones that accountable.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and
No,
taking that feedback from loved ones.
yeah, Carrie, so it sounded like, were you initially coached by someone?
Yes, I've had a coach previous to stepping into life coaching. Yeah.
Okay. What impact did that coach have on your life?
I would say that coach had the impact on my life to say, I know I could do this. It just gave me the confidence to step out of my comfort zone and to actually start following my big dreams.
How is that different than like your close friends?
You know, I think close friends, oftentimes they love you, they know your weaknesses, just like you know your weaknesses, and they can just let you see, like your
Yes.
life. They can just, in love, they just understand your excuses. They play right into your excuses because they see what your struggles in your life.
Well, and if they're, and when they love you, they don't want to see you suffer. So they're going to sometimes tell you, whatever's going to make you most comfortable. And obviously,
Exactly.
whatever's most comfortable isn't always what's best for us. And it does take somebody that's has a little bit more objective perspective. So sometimes really they care too much.
Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
coaches don't care, but we care from an objective perspective as opposed to in the weeds. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
Carrie, what is, in your working with individuals and such, can you, without revealing, I guess, of course, names or anything, what was the most dramatic result that you found, the most profound turnaround in a client that you experienced because you were coaching them?
Well, it happened about a year later. She reached out to me, and it was a person who was she lived in a small town, was going through a very dark time in her life. A very dark time with finding out that her spouse had cheated on her. They were known, they were prominent people in the community, and how to get through this, and really starting focusing on where she wanted her life to be, what she wanted her life to look like and feel like. A year later, she came back to me and just said, I just want to tell you, Carrie, that I now can look at that time and know that time was a joyful time. I was filled with so much joy. And she's just like, I don't want to ever go through something like that again. But I think that was, to me, was like just a big aha, because once again, that awareness of herself and knowing that, this was such an opportunity for her own personal growth. That to me is a story that has just stuck with me, because she, through coaching, saw joy in her horrendous circumstances.
Right. And coaching is a process too. It doesn't happen overnight typically, although you can have aha moments in coaching that can change you from that moment forward, no doubt. But it is a process. Can you talk about maybe that process and how it takes people a little bit of time to make permanent changes?
Yeah. I always say that coaching is an inside job. And it really is, the difference between coaching and therapy. Oftentimes our therapy, go back and they kind of try to find the problem to help you move forward. Whereas in coaching, you're just moving forward. Maybe there was a struggle, but let's move forward. And so it's all an inside job, and looking to say, to me, when I work with people, I always like to start helping them create that strong foundation and talking about what that strong foundation is for them in their lives, and then helping them go from there, what's holding them back, which is a lot of the mindset stuff, like what are they telling themselves? What are the excuses? What's stopping them from moving forward? But also to help them like create a plan of how they're going to do this. A good plan always has a plan for obstacles. I think, because we're going to run into them, right? There's always obstacles in life. And if you know that moving forward before you even, when we run into them, oftentimes it hits us so hard. If you already have some type of plan, it's going to help you get through that so much easier.
Right. A lot of our problems in life, prior to coaching and even after coaching comes from the way we go about solving our problems. Sometimes we just aren't very good at it. We don't know how. We like to we'd like to avoid the problems or make excuses for the problems, or maybe just not even realize that they are problems, whatever it is. And coaching can help bring that to light and give you a whole new way, a new strategy to go about it. And sometimes it's good to have a new way, even though it feels maybe uncomfortable, a new way that is going to lead to different results. It's just better than the old comfortable way.
Yeah.
And it takes time. Yeah.
Sometimes the coach, and I'm sure that you have experienced or seen this, Carrie, Joel, is just asking some of I think they're familiar, but they're very profound questions. Like if someone says, well, I want to lose 30 pounds, or I want to add 60K to my, to my yearly salary or something, those are my goals. And it's like, well, why? Or what will that really give you? And if they say like, well, I really don't know. It's like, well, we're not moving on until you understand what does that really give you? Because sometimes friends will say, that's cool, moving on. But it's like, no, we're going to go a little bit deeper so that you can understand, like, maybe that particular goal, you're going to get there and it's just going to be empty. Your why is not going to be answered.
Right.
So, and I'm sure that you've had that when people trying to find joy, and it's like, is this, what you want to talk about or where you want to go? Will that really find you joy, or how does that give you joy? Or if it's not if you don't attain it, how will that not let you have joy? And they just kind of go, man, you're right. The aha moment. And now all of a sudden choices are a lot simpler and things.
Yeah.
So much talk about clarity, but man, when you have it, it's like things are now clear. I understand this is now what I need to do. And also this is what I need to stop doing or not listen to anymore.
Yeah. So often we focus. A couple of years ago, I had a client that she wanted to raise her income by X amount of dollars, but she also wanted to lose weight. She wanted to be in relationships. She wanted to have all these other things. And what she discovered through the process is that the income was impacting all these other areas of her life. She was so focused on a number that it was stealing all her time. So she was overweight. She didn't have strong relationships. She went and so she flipped it. She wanted to become an adventurous outdoor person and wanted to have meaningful relationships, which meant for right now in her life, that extra income she had a really nice income, just had to be, wasn't as important as she thought it was. And that was just a really neat aha for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for individuals just to dig into that next layer of the onion. We don't want to. And so it really takes somebody outside of that to help us find a little bit. And I think it's interesting too, how one of the most important questions in life, just in general in life, is really just the question of why.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a one-word question, just why. And you can use that question in so many areas, and it really does dig deep.
In coaching, we know that the client has the answers within them. And it's just asking those questions and asking that why and really helping them dig deep, because we just move so fast. Oftentimes we don't do the work to answer that why question.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
A good coach holding the client accountable for like you know, what do you need to do next? Well, I believe I need to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. We're going to meet again in 2 weeks. And when we do, it's like, well, client, did you do X, Y, and Z? No. What prevented you from doing X, Y, and Z? Because sometimes coworkers, friends, spouses, whatever, it's like, they're not going to, they either feel like, how can I hold my boss accountable? How can I hold the CEO of the company accountable? But when they hire a coach, the coach says, well, you hired me to hold you accountable. Why didn't this get done? And then when are you going to get it done? Because you said it was important. Is it important? Yes. Then when are we going to get it done? Simple things like that, but it's like keeping it on, moving forward. So,
Yeah. It's interesting. One really important aspect to coaching, or even in really any relationship, whether it's a marriage or friendship or anything, but one important aspect is permission. I think that's interesting. How by nature we don't really like it when people point things out to us, especially if they don't have permission. We didn't ask them to, and they let us know, hey, let me tell you a way you can improve yourself, or did you know that you do this when you, whatever it is. And we just, it instantly brings up a defense mechanism a little bit if it's not invited. And so, in a coaching relationship, that's a really important thing for somebody to open up and invite somebody to say, okay, I invite you to speak into my life. I invite you to tell me the things that you see honestly, and I give you permission to say those things. When you enter into a relationship like that and there's permission, wow, it's like it does a magical thing. Like it's like the defensiveness goes away. It's like your pride is disarmed, and it opens up a pathway, a conduit for open, honest dialogue. And I think, when you talk about coaching, that's what I think of. I think of that open, honest dialogue where you have that freedom to be able to connect with people and really make life-changing, realizations there. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Carrie, I like when we talked in a previous session with you about your book, and you had made a comment that you said, at first I thought the book was going to be somewhat of a source of income. And now you see it as what?
So, great question, because now I see it as, I just want the message to be out. I think we just live in such trying times. And I think that the message anymore is, like, let's point our finger and blame somebody else. And I just want people to know that you can just experience so much more joy in your life when you start experiencing self-awareness, ownership. I know I keep saying that word, ownership of your life, and how that can change you. And so there's simple steps. There's steps that everybody knows or has heard of. But to really, how you put it all together, I think it's just more meaning. It's a purpose. It's a way of life that I just want to share.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, I remember when I first hired my very first executive coach, I really didn't know what coaching was. And I think your idea, like, well, here's this book that people say, look, I love the title. There's something I want to explore this just by myself. And I want to get a little bit of insight of what's going on. It's like, all right, this all sounds really good. And now if I can take the next step, I can have someone then work with me about this on a one-on-one basis. That is where I think coaching is really the venue to tremendous life change. You can speak to an audience, and you do speaking, but it's like, 10 minutes after the tremendous speaking job that I'm sure you do, half your audience goes, that was great, but I forgot about it. Yeah. The book is like, well, I've got it's a little bit more impact because I can go back and reread it. But boy, when you get into one-on-one coaching, that is where you can have some really, really profound and beneficial life change. So it's like, here, take this, because it's really the funnel that's going to lead to something really, really powerful to them. And they can be on the outside, kind of taking a little nibble and taste and see that Carrie is good, and that there's something really even better for you individually. So hats off to you, girl. Nice job.
it's so true that when I speak, I usually tell people this, that you're going to walk away with maybe 10 to 20% of what I said, even if you liked it. And then your life's going to get busy, and that 10 to 20% is going to go way down until it just goes out the window, unless you're being intentional.
Mhm.
So, that's how coaching can really help. It helps you live create an intentional plan, live an intentional life, so that the busyness, it's not like our lives don't get on busy. The busyness gets directed into a direction that will help you have that A+ life. It redirects your busyness so that it works for you instead of against you.
Yes.
Yeah, this is all really good. It makes me think of kind of the idea that information is worth something. Reading a book is worth something. You can read a book that takes you 8 hours to read, and that information of it can be really, really valuable. However, 1 hour with that author, being able to dialogue and talk back and forth, that's worth way more than 8 hours of information that they can give you. So the truth is that time is worth more than information in that regards, that interaction. And that's an element that people really don't see in coaching. I've heard people say, well, can't you get the same out of reading a book? Well, you can't, because a book isn't going to challenge you. A book isn't going to ask you specific questions, because a book is going to challenge everybody the same way, because they know that everybody that's reading it. But that's not personal. But when you can connect up with a coach and it's personal, you've got that pipeline, that's when growth really happens. So, yeah.
Carrie, you had mentioned busyness so much, and well, isn't that such a definitive statement on our culture today? I had a good friend of mine who a number of years ago, he was in youth ministry, ran summer camps, had 2 small kids. He was a type AA+ personality, ADHD, before it was popular and not on meds. The guy was and he was nominated in a contest, like who's the country's most busiest family? And he was like one of the finalists, and he went to someplace in New York to be filmed. But his answer was like, what's it like to be busy? And he said, anybody can be busy. In fact, everyone is busy. But the question is, are you busy with a purpose?
Mm.
And that's what I think that, like with your clients, it's like, you got an A+, but is there a purpose? Is there that joy in it? Otherwise, if you get to the end of your life and you met all your goals and you have no more goals, then you no longer have a purpose for living.
Right.
And if you get to the end of your life, or you've made all your goals and you're the only one that's benefited, well, what good is that? And to have someone like yourself who said, can I ask you these questions? And you can't just ponder them. You got to write down the answer to know it's true. It's definitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is very revealing for people, and it's life course altering for many that are willing to learn.
Right. You're willing to dig in and do the inside work.
Yes.
Live life differently. Yeah.
Yep. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for your time. We're getting near the end here, but how can our listeners get a hold of you to find out more about your book, find about your coaching services?
They can visit my website at www.loveyourlife2, and that's the number 2.com, and they can find anything they want to find about me on the website.
Excellent.
And I also saw on your website earlier, Carrie, you also do like retreats and seminars and things like that, and they all look really, really wonderful.
Yes. One of my favorite things to do is a mini retreat, and it's kind of like going to someone's home and inviting their friends over and really starting the process of creating that foundation and vision for your life.
Yeah, that's terrific. So, hey, if you're interested in coaching, get a hold of superherosidekick.com. You can also get a hold of Greg. Greg, how will they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at my website, thekalosbusinessgroup.com. That's KALOS, or drgreggilbaugh.com.
All right. And I'm Joel Smith. You can find me at joelsmithcoach.com. please reach out and give us some comments. Tell us how you like the podcast. Subscribe and check out our Facebook too, our Facebook group at Superhero Sidekick, and be part of the community. So, hey,
And
thank
get
you, everybody.
Carrie's book.
Yeah, no doubt.
Get
Buy
Carrie's book.
Yep. And again, the name of her book is Finding Joy, Living an A+ Life in a C- World. So, hey, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Carrie, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carrie, it was a joy.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
All righty.
See you later,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.